Welcome back. White House advisor Ben Rhodes is catching hell from Congress over a New York Times Magazine piece asserting that he helped the administration mislead the American people over last summer's nuclear Iran deal by planting friendly experts at think tanks and duping inexperienced reporters. Lawmakers say the White House deceived them, and they're calling for President Obama to fire Rhodes. Here to make sense of all of it, it's Judge Andrew Napolitano. He's Fox News senior judicial analyst. So let's talk about Rhodes. Well, they wanted to call him before Congress. They gave him a polite invitation and not a subpoena. Was that a mistake?
Yes, it was a mistake because he basically said, I'm not going to come. I'm going to claim a privilege. The privilege that he claimed was executive privilege. Executive privilege is the ability of the president and his aides to keep matters of military, diplomatic, and sensitive national security issues away from the public arena. The theory being the president needs the free and unfettered, unvarnished advice of his advisors, and they shouldn't worry about the stuff being open to the public. The problem is he already waived that privilege. He gave it up when he discussed these things with the New York Times. If you're going to lie and cheat and steal, keep your mouth closed about it. But if you work for the government, you're going to lie and cheat, and then you're going to tell the New York Times you did it. You have given up that privilege, and he needs to answer. So that's the long answer. The short answer to your question is, I wonder how serious these Republicans in the House are. All they had to do was serve him with a subpoena, which requires a legal response.
Does that compel testimony? I mean, could Rhodes have said, nah, I don't want to show up?
It compels either testimony or judicial intervention. If he doesn't go to a judge for judicial intervention, sometimes the judge will say, tell me in secret what you think is privileged, and I'll decide if it's privileged. That's the John Sirica Watergate model. Sometimes the judge will say, no, even your best argument, it's not secret, go testify.
Well, I'm imagining that a judge would do exactly what you're doing, look at the exposition in the New York Times Magazine piece and say, well, you've already violated that. It was like Lois Lerner making a personal statement and then
claiming the Fifth Amendment.
Exactly right.
Right. So look, in my view, Kennedy, there is a far bigger issue here. And the issue is who answers for government lies. This is the same government that prosecutes people for lying to it, and yet its agents, and this is not just anybody, this is the person in charge of national security negotiations. This is the guy who spends 4, 5, 6 times a day with the president. This is the fellow whose office is 2 doors down from the Oval Office. How is it that when he can lie, he can get away with it? How is it when we lie to the government, we can get prosecuted, but when the government lies to us, it can hide under its lies?
Or how about when reporters tell the truth, like James Rosen and James Risen?
Correct.
And the government goes after them.
And then the government sends agents to go after you. Look, James Rosen, God bless him, is in the middle of this as well. He exposed this because he questioned agents of the State Department who told pronouncedly different versions of these events than Ben Rhodes told the New York Times. Look, somewhere Ben Rhodes is lying. He either lied to the New York Times, unlikely, or he lied to the public and the Congress to get this Iran deal through last summer. If he had told either of those lies to the FBI, he'd be indicted.
Well, and by the way, you know, someone at his level, and I know he wrote some florid prose and was actually a fiction writer before in his previous civilian life.
That I didn't know.
Yeah, but there's no way he's going out there and doing this piece on his own. There's no way that he's disseminating this without the president's knowledge.
So to the Republicans who are asking for Ben Rhodes to be fired, do they really think the president was ignorant of the lies he was telling at the time in the name of the White House that the president occupies and runs? Come on.
Yeah, and that this foreign policy advisor betrayed the president. There's absolutely no way. There's a reason that they did this. There's also a reason that the White House has given him cover.
This is not about the merits of the Iran deal. There are good arguments on both sides. This is about the way government achieves its goals, prosecuting people that lie to it, glorifying people when they lie for it.
Absolutely. And coming up with all sorts of rationalizations for why it's okay to lie to the press and plant stories when it is a self-serving enterprise.
You got it.
All right. Well, Judge, thank you very much for being here.
You're welcome. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure is mine. Piacere mio.